podcast and speaking again with Dupree. How's your day been today?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, not too much.
It's been a little busy. I got off work, and then I gotta go to a Star Wars thing in a few hours. So it's been a
Oh,
day.
sweet. What's the new Star Wars thing that you're going to be going to?
So there's gonna be a live watch party for Ahsoka at the Star Wars bar in Hollywood. So
Oh, that's right.
So
That's
that's gonna
the
be
Is that the one that's going on playing on in cinemas over there, is it?
no. That's Tuesday for us, but this is like they're showing the show, and then maybe a few people, possibly a few people from the show might show up. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Totally wish I was over there. That would have been great. That's what I'd love to do, is be able to talk to like the actors and actresses on the shows. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, man, they're actually the most normal people. They just get to do cool things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's the thing with actors that and actresses that I found out, is that if you sort of geek out about it, they tend to not really like it that much. But if you just treat them like everyday people, they're pretty happy and outgoing and everything. So that's what I've found out anyway.
Yeah, or they're fans just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Like, but then again, you get some people that's like, oh, it's just a job, I don't care. But like for the most part, I feel like the majority is like, oh, I'm so happy to be working on this because it's so cool.
Yeah. It's the same as what's Carl Sint, the guy who plays Carl Sintiva. He what's the guy's name?
Angry Abba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a long time Star Wars fan before he got to be on the show, and he's loving it. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Hey.
Yeah, man, he was in Rebel Legion, and he has like a YouTube channel where he unboxes things and everything. And I'm like, it's so cool, and this dude gets to be in Star Wars also.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that'd be a lot of fun to be on. Yeah, and that would be something I'd love to do, is just be on a Star Wars show and just enjoy, even if it's just being an extra on the show, is still better than nothing. So I'd do whatever I could to be able to be on the show. But yeah, so it's not too bad. So
Yeah,
so what did you think of the latest Ahsoka episode?
I loved it. I mean, it was um like this is the exact middle of the series. Like it's episode 4 of 8. So I figured like they needed to hit the ground running with this one, which they did.
Yeah.
And it left us on a crazy cliffhanger. And now everybody's going back to watch Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels to make sense of it, which is funny.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I was watching the chat with between Theory and Den of Nerds, and Den of Nerds found out about the whole world between worlds and everything. So and also about the Merrick being just smoke from the Night Sister magic. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, seeing Anakin again, that sort of brought up the memories of like episode 2 and 3 of Star Wars. So that sort of I sort of bawled my eyes out like a baby. So but it was good though. It was happy tears, not sad tears. So it sort of made me.
That's all you can.
Yeah. It made me sort of feel like a kid again. So it was good.
Yeah, it I mean, of course, it was a little bit of de-aging, even no, he's not that old, but it might have been just like a scene they snatched from, unused scene from episode 3. It was that good.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it sort of seems to me that Dave is actually bringing back like episodes that he wasn't able to create, because I think he was going to create another season of Rebels, but he wasn't able to. So I think he's just bringing back all those episodes that he was going to make for that season and brought it into the live action. So
yeah, because it feels a lot like Rebels, minus a lot of characters, but even down to the music, they still have the same composer, was it Kevin Kiner? So it's literally live action.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good. I mean, I do actually hope that they bring back Zeb into the Ahsoka show, but I'm guessing they might leave it until maybe next season, the second season, if they do a second season. But I don't know how they would go about.
I feel like they'll wait until the end.
Yeah, that's true. But the only thing is, but the only thing is that I don't know what they would do about Ray Stevenson playing Balin, whether he gets cut out through I don't know, till between season 1 and season 2, or they just get someone to stand in for him and they just get the sort of get like a digital face of Balin put on to someone else. That could possibly happen, but I don't think they would actually do that because of they want to honor Ray Stevenson anyway. So I'm guessing they'll probably just let him. Yeah, they'll just probably get someone else to play a different character or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Who knows? We'll see when the series ends. Like if it's like he was supposed to go on in the season 2, but they did say that this series is kind of contained in the story. So whatever happens at the end of this, they could either leave it at that or go to a season 2. But Ahsoka's supposed to go on and intermingle with the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba and Skeleton Crew up until whatever Dave Filoni movie. So
yeah,
who knows? If she can get a season 2, or she doesn't have to, either or.
Yeah. Well, that's very true. I mean, I think when's Skeleton Crew coming out? I think, isn't it end of this year, or is it start of next year that it's coming out? I'm not too sure.
Either or. I kind of forgot because there hasn't really been a lot of news popping up on that a lot lately ever since around the strike. So I know they're done. Majority they're done filming the series. It's just working on VFX shots. But I think it's going to be end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024. Either or, honestly, around the same time.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I mean, yeah, if they did actually put out the Skeleton Crew at the end of this year, then it would actually help with, because they don't have because of the writers' strike and the actors' strike at the moment, but also gives them time to sort of lay out the actual guessing Ahsoka movie, or they might probably call it what was it, the Heir to the Empire, maybe. I'm guessing they'll probably call it Heir to the Empire, or something along those lines anyway.
Very well. That's what it's probably going to end up being.
Yeah. So it'll be a lot of fun, actually. I've got a couple books. Oh, crikey. Yeah, I've got a couple Star Wars books. I've got this one here. which is the this is the courtship of Princess Leia, and I've got the old. This is like the. Oh, this is a really old version of Return of the Jedi. This is like, when did this come out? Just trying to see when it came out. Oh, this was published in 1983, 2 years before I was born. So, and it's even got all the old. See, it's even got all the old photos as well. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, no, I've kept this book for ages, and not going to throw that away. It's definitely going to be memorabilia for a long time, and pass it on to my kids. So yeah.
Do you have a lot of vintage stuff like in your collection?
What you're meaning, just like the comics or any other
or anything? Yeah.
I do have the old it was this, I think it was one of the first comic books of I think between like I think it was the actual the Old Republic, and the guy smashes a crystal and it goes into his hand, and I think that's how they how the Sith and everything happened. So I have to try and find it. I don't know where it is exactly, but once I find it, I'll be able to show you. It's a really old book, but comic book, but it's really good to read, and it would have been good if they actually did like a live action on like Jason and Jaina, Han and Leia's kids, the twins.
Yep.
That would have been much better than what we've got.
I mean, that's basically what we got, but just a watered down version of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't really a good fan of the sequel trilogy. I was more of a original and prequel trilogy fan than sequel. I mean, there's a lot of people that do love the sequel saga, but they sort of Ryan Johnson sort of ruined Luke Skywalker's character, and even George Lucas would be just pretty much killing himself, so to speak, due to the Luke Skywalker getting ruined.
I would love to hear when he's extremely old. I mean, he's already old, but when he's like extremely old and he doesn't care anymore, I would love to hear his opinion, his real opinion on all that stuff. Because like when most of these really old actors, they just let all the juice go and just start telling them like, I hated this when they're in like their 80s or
90s. Yeah. No, that's very true. I mean, don't get me wrong. George Lucas had other directors to direct, like Empire Strikes Back, and I think even also some of the prequel movies as well. He got what was his name? I'm trying to think. Not Gillard. Heck, I can't even remember his name. The producer of episode 1.
Rick McCollum.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he did get other people, but but what I remember is that George just wrote the whole scripts and then just gave them, and then they did what they needed to do. And that was much better. I mean, that's what they should have done with the sequel trilogy.
Well, George is mostly like so when he did an Empire and Return of the Jedi, he wrote most of it. Well, he wrote and then he had his writers help him, and then he gave it to directors, and then after that he would like kind of shadow everybody on set. Like it's basically like having two directors at the same time.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
You're back the whole time. like that's not how I want it, or a little bit like this, or but uh, with Jedi, I feel like I know Empire. I feel like with Irvin Kershner, it went really well, but I forgot the guy's name who directed Return of the Jedi. Um,
Oh yeah,
Richard.
true.
Richard Marquand. He had.
Yeah.
I feel I from what I know, like that didn't really go over too smooth, and so George is basically um finished directing the rest of the movie. Like move over. I'm gonna take over. You're not doing like what I told you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no,
So they could for this, like, yeah, for the sequels.
yeah. And I think now Dave Filoni has been he's got a new position. He's part of the head of the creative process, I think. So
Yeah, he's head of he's higher up there, but like basically whenever like they go over like we want to make this show and blah blah blah. It's like since he's like the guru over there, like he's basically the next thing to George. It's like, well, that can't happen because this happened over here, and this guy can't have that because he lost that in this movie. So he's I think that's what he does, because I think that's what Pablo Hidalgo was doing, but I think Pablo Hidalgo is more in the story team.
yeah. I think to be honest, I don't think Pablo should. I mean, I think he should be sort of demoted, or at least sort of have Dave put him in his place so then he knows what he should be doing, rather than sort of spewing a lot of hogwash around like he did with the sequel trilogy, and then attacking all the people like Theory and all that. So, but I think,
Probably. Well, the thing about him is like he has a really vast knowledge about everything Star Wars, and so he knows what he's talking about. But it's just his remarks and his personality sometimes just don't. It's like, why would you say that? Like, I get it.
yeah,
You're really smart. Some things you just like shouldn't say.
yeah. I mean, that's the difference between Dave and Pablo, is that Dave sort of knows what he should be talking about and what he should be sort of saying, rather than sort of just spraying a whole lot of stuff out without even thinking of
Yeah.
the consequences. So, but I definitely think that, yeah, I definitely think that that Dave will be. I think he should actually either take over Lucasfilm, or have Dave and John to actually take over Lucasfilm, and they still can do like the producing and stuff like that. So I think that should be the way forward for the future. If Disney wants to actually save Star Wars completely and sort of make it way better than make it better than what it was with the sequel trilogy.
I get it. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what they're kind of setting up for him eventually, is to be that person to take over. But I think he's more of a storyteller. He's not really like a studio head.
Yeah. I mean, John Favreau could actually take over as the head of the studio. That would be easier, and then just have Dave doing the everything else, like the stories, and then just placing the right people with the right stories, and then just go forward. That would be easier.
Yeah, I would actually be happy with that, honestly. I don't want to take anything away from Kathleen Kennedy, because at the end of the day, she's the one who greenlets the good and the bad. So for all the good, she's responsible for all the good. She's responsible for. She's also responsible for the bad.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because like either way, I feel like if you put yourself in that position to be, a studio head, like you're gonna be the villain, no matter what. Like good, like not, because not everything you put out is gonna be good.
Yeah, well, that's very true. So what do you think about the future of Star Wars and the future of the fandom? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I was talking to one of my friends before. We were talking about the state of Star Wars with the fans, and I made a video about it a while back. Uh, the show is good, Ahsoka. Like the show, like generally it's well received, but the numbers are just extremely low. And
Mm,
I think that's because of Star Wars fatigue. Like we've been burned, and we've gotten good shows, and then sometimes we've been burned, and it's been like we've gotten so much so fast over so little time that everybody's a little tired of things. So
mm,
I
mm.
think we just need to get a movie to like give people like hope that like it's gonna get better again. Because I feel like with the shows, it's like, all right, it's another TV show. Okay,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
you see, Star Wars is for the movie theaters. It shouldn't be for TV at home.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So
that's very true. I mean,
I don't
the
know. This is a good step to go into the right direction because I it so far it's a good show. It's just
mm,
um you know it, it it's a good show. It's just it's like slightly slow start, but we'll see where it happens at
yeah,
the end. But
yeah,
like things like same like I just said, things should have been for the theaters. Like Kenobi should have been a movie. Like that should have been like a
yeah,
movie and that you go watch, not a show.
yeah, yeah. I definitely think the same, actually. Yeah, Ahsoka did start off very slow, but I think that was mainly to sort of dumb down everything for people who haven't watched any of the Ahsoka of Star Wars, Clone Wars, or Rebels TV shows. So it sort of sucks for the Star Wars fans that already know this sort of stuff. It's like, okay, it's really slow and tedious, and Ahsoka did start off a bit like stoic and everything, but I think she's starting to get more of her groove back and everything. Um, of course, she's got that character arc where it's sort of good and then troubled and then it's going to get to a point. I do think that she's going to become Ahsoka the White, pretty much like Gandalf the White sort of thing. Since
And she did
Dave
just get
Filoni.
kicked off the ledge.
Yeah, yeah. So I sort of because I think Dave actually loves Lord of the Rings, and so he's sort of putting it towards that sort of thing as well. So that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I think that she's gonna come back either Ahsoka the Wise or the White, and sort of have more of a better meaning. But what are your thoughts on Anakin with the Darth Vader theme near the end of the credits?
um, I think he's evil. I think this isn't Anakin. This is Darth Vader, like pre-armor.
Mm, mm. Yeah,
Like
I,
they kind of gave me a hint with the music like right after that. Like it's funny because they gave his Anakin Skywalker music cues, but they ended it with the Darth Vader cue. So I'm like, oh,
yeah, yeah. I think it could possibly be. Oh no, just a bait and switch. It might be oh, what's his name? Um, the son of Mortis. Yeah, I think it might be him, or it could be just a I don't know, just some sort of apparition or just a um, delusional vision that Ahsoka's had from falling. Um, who knows?
I was thinking it was gonna be a Force ghost, but it's definitely not a Force ghost.
Yeah, yeah. But they did. I think they Dave did talk about that about I think Anakin being the conduit between life and death. So or he did talk about someone being a conduit between life and death. So maybe it's just a vision of what Ahsoka perceived, because she knew that Anakin turned to the dark side. Maybe that's her perception, possibly, but yeah, who knows? It's just all up in the air. No one really knows exactly what's going on in Dave Filoni's head. So only time will tell. And
You know, this is the most Star Wars thing that we've gotten so far, and you know, I trust Dave. I trust his writing. I don't know about his directing just yet, because we've only seen him direct a couple episodes of Mando and Ahsoka too. Like, he wrote it, but he didn't direct everything. So we'll see how this goes. Like I said, I have like a lot of hope for the rest of the show. Like, the rest of the show is gonna hit really hard.
yeah. I feel the same way, actually. It is definitely more Star Wars than what we've gotten in the past. Probably the last Star Wars of all sort of things would have been either Episode 3 or maybe a little bit of like definitely Mandalorian as well. So I think Mandalorian and a little bit of like Book of Boba Fett with Luke Skywalker and that. But
Yeah.
and even the same with is it Darth? Yeah, not Darth Bane. Trying to think. Who's the bounty hunter that went after Boba Fett?
Oh, Cad Bane.
Yeah, Cad Bane. That's right, not Darth Bane. Darth Bane's a different character altogether. But yeah, Cad Bane. I think yeah, with those sorts of tidbits in that story, but was sort of Star Warsy. But I think the most Star Wars of all things the last time would have been Mandalorian, definitely. With season 2 definitely was the highlight of the sort of Star Wars of all Star Wars things, with like seeing Ahsoka and also Boba Fett, and who else was there?
Yeah, we had Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, and R2D2. Like, if that is not, like, you know, fan service in a good way that makes sense, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, no, that's the same. It was that was definitely a tearjerker. That was the ending of season 2 was really good. And with Carl Santeva, Angry Upper playing him, that was pretty cool as well. So having people who love Star Wars being in Star Wars TV shows is just what it should be. I mean, yes, fan service is great, but not like the way they did it in season 2 was great. It's like having them like one at the start, one at the middle, and one at the end. It was much easier that way. As where with the sequel trilogy, they were just like, here's someone from the old, here's someone old, here's someone from the old, and it was all throughout every movie of those episodes, and it was just it was a bit draining, and it wasn't the way we wanted it. But
And then just kill him.
Yeah. They just pretty much killed our favorite character of all time. But I think the Mandalorian definitely sort of redeemed that a little bit, not fully, but sort of redeemed him a little bit.
That's the best Luke Skywalker we've gotten, like, since Return of the Jedi. Like,
Yeah.
It was like, that was Dave's, like, okay, we're gonna redo this, and we're gonna bring your hero back and make you feel good about him again.
Yeah. No, that's very true. It was definitely it was something great to see, and it did actually. I think at that moment the fandom did actually come together as one rather than going against each other. So, um, but I think the decisiveness, I think the separation between the all-time fans and the ones that are sort of half fans, I think that was due to just the sequel trilogy with Ryan Johnson sort of spreading us apart, and it sort of screwed everything up. I mean, if he carried on with what heck, who did the first and the last episode of the sequel trilogy?
So that's J.J. Yeah, J.J. Abrams. Yeah.
Yeah. So if he carried on with what J.J. Abrams started with, then I don't think the fandom would have been separated as much. It would have been a small percentage maybe, but not as bad as it was. But yeah, definitely
For
with
sure.
Luke Skywalker coming back, that definitely brought the fandom as one whole group, and that was great. But hopefully this movie will be better, and hopefully Dave Filoni has some sort of creative things to put in the Ray movie, even though we don't really want the Ray movie, um, but I think he should be able to make it sort of seem more cohesive and glued in the right place rather than sort of jumbled around sort of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know that movie. I feel like we're gonna get an older version of Ahsoka the White. You say in that.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to happen, and yeah, it'll be good to see. I think we're definitely going to see Thrawn at the end of the season as well. That's definitely going to be where he's going to talk like for maybe, I don't know, the first, and that last episode. I think he's just going to have a few lines to talk, and then there'll be a cliffhanger, and then we'll be like, well, we have to wait for either season 2 or the movie itself. So that's going to be a kick in the pants, but that's the whole thrill about being a Star Wars fan, sort of doing the whole thinking about the theories of what could happen. But I think some of us tend to get a little bit too involved in what our theories are, and that's why we get let down and all that sort of stuff happens. But it
Well,
is
that's why you
definitely a
can't really have like. That's why you can't really have like a super high hopes for a show like, and then you're always let down.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, for me, I've since the sequel trilogy, I was like, I'm just gonna be happy with what I get given, not hoping for the best of like everything. But I think this show, the Ahsoka show, is definitely given us fans something to sort of hope for, and yeah, I definitely believe and trust in Dave more than anyone else. So yeah. What about you?
Yeah, man. I trust in Dave. I just I trust in Dave and John and a few of the other directors too that they brought in Mando, like Bryce Dallas Howard has been like killing it, like
Yeah.
with every episode of Mando, whatever she's done. And
Hmm.
it's funny because I like listening to her interviews, like they did her interviews for The Mandalorian, and like she's so scatterbrained about a lot of things, and I like just how she came across. I didn't think her episodes were gonna be like, I'm like, all right, whatever, like. I was thinking it's gonna be like a little bit of nepotism because her dad is Ron Howard, and then she ended
Yeah,
up like
yeah.
delivering it with some of the best episodes, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, give her like more episodes. Give her a movie. Like, she can definitely direct, and she knows how to shoot. She knows angles. Like, she's where it's at. Um,
Mm.
I feel like if they decide to, I feel like they need to keep it in like their little director team that they have for Mando with a lot of things. If they do that, like say if they did that for movies or different shows and just kept it like that, then I feel like we wouldn't really have like a problem or issues feeling like, okay, this is too jumbled or this doesn't feel like Star Wars or whatever. But I don't know. I like Kathleen Kennedy's had like an issue of firing directors. Like, okay, we hired this person, and then it turns out like 6 months later they're not a good fit, so they end up getting fired. I just think
Yeah.
that like I said, they just need to stick with like a certain amount of people. Like, and then now they have Donald Glover writing, and I don't know if he's directing, but I know him and his brother are writing Lando. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's going to be interesting. Like, we'll see if how he does on that, because he's a writer and director too. So I just think
Mm.
right now they need to keep it all in house with the people that they have. Like, they wanted to make it like diverse, like have female directors, or directors like people of color or whatever, which they have now and they've done, but
Yeah.
just maybe keep it in that circle of people that you have that's proven like, okay, we can do this. You don't need to hire the guys who did the Lego movies. You don't need to hire the Game of Thrones guys. You don't need to hire these people. Like, you have the directors like right there to do this. Like, it doesn't
Mm.
need to be outsourced anymore.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, the same with who directed the latest episode of Ahsoka? It was one of the Into the Spider-Verse. Trying to think.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I know they brought in they I forget the dude's name. I've been bad with. I haven't been checking who directed each episode of this. I know Dave
Yeah,
did episode 2,
yeah,
and he has 2 episodes that he's directed in the series, but he's written everything mostly. So I just don't know yet. But and then I
yeah,
think Carl Weathers, the guy, he's Grief Karga. He's done a few episodes. He might have done one or two episodes in this too as well. I don't know. I know he's done a few
yeah.
in Mando. And same thing with him. He's a good director too. So I'm just like, let him direct stuff. Like, he's
Oh yeah,
kind of and he knows what he's doing.
yeah, yeah. This one was directed by. Just trying to see. Peter Ramsey. That's it. Peter Ramsey
Peter.
directed. Yeah, so I think he should be definitely kept on board with the Star Wars TV shows that are coming out and even movies. Um, I think Peter Ramsey was also part of like doing the Into the Spider-Verse as well with Sony. So it's definitely the way to go. And I think yeah, definitely Bryce Dallas Howard. I think she would probably fit really well doing the Rogue One movie that was going to be coming out. So I think that would
Oh
actually go
yeah,
really well.
yeah. For you know what? Like, she probably would do really, really well with that movie. Honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because she was also around when I think it was like Phantom Menace and all that. She was around George and her father was around him as well. So of course she's a fan of Star Wars first, but she's also really good at what she does. She's a good actress as well. So I think she'll definitely pull off the Rogue Squadron movie or any other movie for that matter. She'll just pull it off really well.
Yeah, it's kind of like her proving ground, and she's like kind of hit it out of the park. I was generally surprised.
Yeah, yeah, that's really true. I mean, I do think they should bring back Cara Dune in the Dave Filoni movie just to sort of finish off her character arc and then then we can do whatever.
They'll probably
Of
recast
course,
her.
yeah, they probably would. But even if they did bring her back just for that, just for like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 scenes of that movie, then at least that would sort of tie it up, and then it's not like we're gonna have her in 100% or anything like that. So I do think, even though there's a whole debacle with what was going on with her, I still think that yeah, if they finish off her character arc, and even maybe if they patch up things later on down the track, they can bring her back into maybe a new type of Rangers of the New Republic sort of thing, or even part of the new Rogue Squadron that's in the new order sort of thing. So let's see what happens, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I don't even know if that movie's still coming out right now. Honestly, they've been kind of back and forth with it, so who knows?
Yeah. Um, do you have any comic books that you like actually reading of Star Wars the most? Any of that are your favorites, or?
Okay, so I was doing the whole Marvel. I was literally going to comic book shops and buying the whole Marvel series of comics for a while. Like I was keeping up with all of that until it just, I don't know, some of it kind of just fell off, and I just kind of
Yeah,
got disinterested, and I just stopped buying it. So every now and then I'll go on like YouTube, and there's a couple channels that cover all the comic books, and like you can literally like watch the comic books as movies or whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, it's just been kind of, I don't know, lackluster. And personally, I feel like they're gonna do away with them whenever they decide to do another movie. That that, and then the comic just doesn't fit with like the narrative anymore, because they've done that
yeah,
before. Like they they did that with the Kanan comic books. Like I had the whole series of Kanan comic books that shows like what happens during Order 66. Then they changed that, and they changed what happened in that on the Bad Batch. It's a totally new way about like how he experiences Order 66. So I'm like, okay, so that doesn't matter anymore. And
yeah.
then with like the books too, like the Ahsoka book doesn't matter anymore. So at this point, it's kind of like, what's the point of continuing to like buy these comic books if it just doesn't matter, like when it doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah, no, that's really true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I sort of
I mean,
get what you mean, actually.
I had all the Vader comic books. Oddly enough, not even being biased, those were generally like the best comic book runs up until like I would say the last one where he goes to Exegol. Like that's where I kind of just like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah. They just want everything to go into the Skywalker, the sequel trilogy. I don't really gather. Yeah, I don't think the sequel trilogy is really related to the Skywalker saga. Skywalker saga is from 1 to 6. That's it. Anything
Yeah, and
after that is, yeah. So anything after that, I think that's more of a, I don't know. Maybe they could have called it the Palpatine saga or something. I don't know.
for
Yeah.
real. I mean, Ray Palpatine, yeah. And the Skywalkers just kind of take a back seat. They're just there to be like, oh, you can have our lightsaber, and we'll just go away now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they did do pretty cool with with the Leia training with Luke. That was pretty cool. The
No,
ending.
a lot of bits and pieces with those
Yeah.
movies that were really cool. I
Hmm.
can literally think back and be like, that was a cool moment, or I really like this and this. But then the rest of the stuff is just like okay, I kind of don't care anymore. Like
Yeah.
I can still sit through and watch Force Awakens because I was swept up into all that hype like the rest of us. Like who was it? But
Yeah.
The Last Jedi and especially Rise of Skywalker are just tough watches for me. I can kind of watch The Last Jedi now objectively, even though it's definitely not my favorite Star Wars movie. I'll still watch it, but like Rise of Skywalker is just it's just like that for me. That's like a fan film.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, the I mean, the Force Awakens was definitely what I enjoyed. That was pretty cool, and it gave off that what happened to Luke and everything. That was pretty good, but yeah, the other two were just, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. It just was just like someone saying, let's throw these things into a pot and let's do this, and it just did not meld well. And I think if Dave Filoni was the head of the creative team before those movies were made, I think that would have been it would have felt much better than what it
Could have
does
been
now.
drastically
So,
different. Yeah,
mm,
that'd have been drastically different, and I feel a lot better because that's I hate to say it, but that's George like 2.0 right there. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah, oh
everything
yeah,
like
definitely.
George would have done, it Dave would do. So that's why I'm just like, yeah, it's tough to look back and think about like what could have happened, like or the
Yeah,
potential of what could have happened. You know, because at the end of the day, we got what we got, and it's not like those movies did make a lot of money, and inspired like a Star Wars, like two Star Wars lands and a bunch of other stuff and a new generation of fans. So I can't knock it for that. It's just, it could have been a lot better than it was. It could have been a
oh
lot
yeah,
better. And, it's never going to go away. And, whatever the next trilogy is going to be about, because they're definitely going to do 10, 11, 12. I have the feeling that hypothetically it might be what we got, and we might look back on the sequels and be like, you know what? They weren't that bad.
true. Yeah, well, you never know. The next sequel trilogy might be worse than the recent
Yeah.
one. So we'd be like, well, that wasn't as bad. That's worse. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, because like think about it, when the prequels came out, like people were like iffy on those, and then they hate just over the years just build it, and to where everybody was like, the prequels suck. Now it's like, you know what, the prequels ain't that bad.
yeah, that's true. I love the prequels. I mean, yeah, Jar Jar was it was a little bit weird, but he was part of history with CGI and mocap. Um, he was definitely a comedic release, and then I'd still like Jar Jar in the parts. I mean, definitely the episode one maybe, but episode two and three, yeah, that part I'm not too sure
I
about. But
saw Jar Jar's fault. Jar Jar voted for Palpatine to get like emergency powers, so blame Jar Jar.
yeah, that's true. Um, but nothing against Armor Best. He was really good, and he did really well with what he got given. Um, but yeah, the writing between with what he was supposed to be saying should have been a little bit better, um, but then again, I can't really say anything with what George writes with his creative team. So
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's whatever. Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because I don't think like whatever is coming next is going to be bad, but I feel like they've learned from their mistakes, so we'll see.
sure. I mean, if they sort of connect it better with, because yeah, if with Dave being the head of the creative team, I think he will be able to tie all of the movies, the sequel and the next movies together. So and even do the same between the originals and the sequels as well. So I think if they sort of even if they made like a sort of a touch up on like I don't know, like a short story between the originals and the prequels, then that would sort of make that more cohesive, and do the same with the new one as well. If they did that and then could put that into one whole film, or even a mini movie, then that would, I think that would make the fans a little bit more at ease and sort of understand things a little bit better. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my thoughts anyway. What about you?
Like I said, you just have to trust in. I'm just trusting in whatever Dave does. I know people say like he's not the savior of Star Wars, but he is. You know,
Yeah,
it's his everything he's done with the Clone Wars and Rebels is like, kind of proven like he knows what he's doing and he knows storytelling. He's not a filmmaker, so to speak. Like he doesn't, he's just dipping his toes in this. But give him time, and he'll get better with time and age. Like it's kind of funny to think this dude came from Nickelodeon working on the Last Airbender, and now he's like one of like the top heads at Star Wars, like creating all these like wonderful things.
mm.
So Dave knows the right people. He knows the right team. He knows the story, and at the end of the day, he has George. He can always call George and be like, "What would you do?" 'Cause,
Yeah,
they're essentially the same person. Um,
yeah.
I just have faith in whatever he does.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I definitely trust Dave Filoni more, but the other, I think he has been getting George Lucas to come on most of, well, at least the Mandalorian, and I think
Yeah.
definitely Ahsoka as well. Um, so I think that yeah, having George behind him, sort of telling him you could do this to sort of make this better, and sort of give him that wisdom, and that it's definitely putting him on the right track, and he's still learning, because it's just, this is his, what, maybe second time doing like a live action TV series, so and even probably his second or third time doing directing for his episode of Ahsoka as well. So I think he'll definitely come along and get everything sorted pretty easily. Um, but I do think that they should bring back George Lucas as at least a creative consultant, or storyboard. Well, maybe not storyboard. Probably at least
I'd love him
creative.
to write it.
Pardon? What did you say?
I'd
Sorry.
love him. Yeah, I mean, I'd love if he would write an episode of something, even if he didn't direct it. It's like, all right, George wrote this. Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with the three, they could still do the three scripts that he did, that he made for the trilogy, the sequel trilogy, but they could just put that into the next trilogy. I think that would still work if they swap a few things around. That would work pretty well. Yeah, so
They
that'd be
could.
pretty cool.
I mean, at this point, I kind of doubt they would because it's the beans have been kind of spilled. Like we kind of know I mean, I've seen like the scripts of like what he wrote or what he wanted to have happen, which would have been cool and weird. It's just I don't know if they'd ever go that route, and
Hmm.
especially since like, the fans already know. It'd be like them if they did well, I mean, it's technically what they're doing now with Heir to the Empire and like everything. But I don't know if they would do that with his story.
Sure. What was what did you find out about the um George Lucas scripts? What did you find out about that? What?
Well, I mean, he like Luke built his Jedi school, and he was teaching people, and then Leia was like the chancellor,
Yeah.
and then Darth Maul comes back,
Oh,
and
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah. Did hear about that. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Darth Maul comes back and he's like Emperor Palpatine status where he's powerful and stuff, and then he has that uh, Darth Talon be like his like Darth Vader or Darth Maul. So Darth Talon is like the one that goes out and does all the things, and Darth Maul is the big bad like hiding in shadows.
Yeah. That would have been pretty cool actually. I would have loved that, and they could have even tied in the Crimson Dawn as well. So that would have been a nod to the Clone Wars and Rebels as well. So that would have been wicked. But yeah, I mean, I guess they could still take a little bit of that storyline, but apart from the Chancellor and Luke doing
I mean, when you kill every single one of the original trilogy characters minus Lando and
Lando
and the droids, it's like what else? It's like what else do you have left?
Oh, I guess even who was the other guy? Wedge Antilles, he was still alive as well. So.
Oh God. Yeah, he popped up for a quick cameo.
Yeah, I think that would have been. Yeah, that was really cool actually. That was one of my favorite moments, seeing Wedge back in the Red Squadron team. So that was pretty sweet. I think.
I would have wished they would have given him more of like a part and just him popping up in the movie to say, "Hey, I'm still alive."
Yeah, that'd be true. I definitely think that if they did do the Rogue Squadron, I think they should set it between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I think would be the best idea. Or even
for sure.
Or even between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. So then that sort of fits in that area because there's still a lot of Rogue Squadron. I think there's a Rogue Squadron book as well that's still there for them to use.
There's so many Rogue Squadron books. There's like a lot of Rogue Squadron books, especially that take place in the middle of the movies and then way after the movies, of course. But yeah, that's the one thing that's just been so untouched by them. I'm so surprised they haven't done anything with it until now. Like it's like Star Wars Top Gun. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, I mean, even with the Rogue Squadron game, the old one as well as the new one, they could still. I mean, they could do two movies. They could do the old Rogue Squadron with all those storylines from that game and the books as well, but also do the Rogue Squadron-ish for the other part of the sequel trilogy and all. Oh no, actually that was even before the Rogue Squadron, Squadrons was actually based on. I think that was between Empire Strikes Back and no, Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, I think.
Yeah, it kind of was like there was like I said, there's a whole huge time period with like the books. I had a good amount of those books, but I never finished reading all of them. But they go from Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi, and then after, and the game is set between there too.
Yeah, because the Battlefield story mode that was based on between. Was it Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi? I'm not too sure.
I don't know. I haven't played Battlefield. That's one of the few games I never actually played. Actually.
Oh really? That one wasn't too bad actually. Yeah, that was pretty good actually. And yeah, it was a good. That was a good game. It wasn't. Trying to think. Yeah, it was definitely much better than Battlefield. The first Battlefield, definitely. But yeah, hopefully they sort of the new outcome Outcast game, Outlaws, sorry, will actually be sort of an amalgamation of those the Battlefield games. So who knows?
That game looks really good.
Yeah. Are there any other Star Wars games that you've actually played?
I've played the majority of Star Wars games, or have them. I'd probably say the ones game is that I was playing not too long ago. Forgot the name of it. The one, oh, now I remember. The one I was gonna say, the one I played the most was like Shadows of the Empire. That's the one I want to see turned into some kind of a movie or a show, or have some parts of that just taken and putting into. I mean, they're doing that with Heir to the Empire, like that. Like Shadows of the Empire is the one where it's like, no, that needs to be something.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, no, that game was pretty cool actually. I liked the ones that are sort of like what was it called? The one that it was sort of like World of Warcraft, where you click on your fleet and you take them to go against something. Can't remember what that one was called. It was sort of like a 2D based game.
Yeah, that's the one I never played. I know exactly what game you're talking about. I never played that one. I haven't played that game. That was a huge game.
Yeah, that one was actually really good. It didn't have any. It did have a storyline, but it was pretty cool. It was definitely around that time that World of Warcraft were doing that sort of 2D sort of style, over the top, looking at the characters and stuff like that. So yeah, that was pretty sweet. What are your predictions for episode 5 of Ahsoka?
I think, well, obviously there's going to be a lot of exposition about what the world between worlds really is from Anakin, to kind of catch like all like the casual fans and people who haven't watched Rebels and Clone Wars up to speed. So we're gonna get that, and then I think obviously this Anakin isn't what we think he is. Like I think this is gonna be like an evil Anakin, and they're gonna end up going to blows.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I'd definitely think the same way, actually. Yeah, he is definitely not what he seems to be, and the world between worlds is still a little bit up in the air for everyone, because it's not been told a whole lot about. It's definitely not like time travel. It's more looking into like a mirror of the past and the future, and seeing what has happened, and sort of it's like a looking at the photos of a photo book, and sort of seeing the past, and sort of learning from that sort of thing. So that's what I think.
That you could interact with somebody, right?
Yeah. So that's the way I think of it. It's just like, just looking at photos of a photo album, and just sort of seeing, hey, this was pretty cool, this was good. Things didn't happen really good in this part, but I can work on that, and that's my gathering of the world between worlds. It's not like Back to the Future sort of style.
This is totally this. You know what this kind of reminds me? World Between Worlds is kind of like, I'd say, a little bit of like Marvel What If, when they go into different dimensions, and get different characters from that. Like like I keep telling people, like, all these franchises are going into the like multiverse type thing, and this kind of has a hand in that, but it's just different.
Yeah, that's true. Anything else that you want to talk about, or should we sort of
Yeah. I gotta get ready to roll to my Star Wars thing in a second.
Oh yeah, all right. We'll finish up with today's chat. We definitely need to carry on and talk more with a third or fourth or however more that we can to sort of tie up everything. But for the listeners, how
Yeah,
can
bro, you got a big
they?
episode.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about that one, so that's going to be a lot of fun as well. So what platforms or how can the listeners follow you? How can they?
Darth Hater on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, everything. Literally just Darth Hater on 23 on everything.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having another chat, and we'll definitely catch up again, have another chat later on, and talk
Oh
more
yeah, bro.
Star Wars. And hopefully we'll be able to get like maybe even Kyle Katarn to sort of join up with us, and we'll have a big discussion about Star Wars and anything and everything,
That'd be
news,
cool.
leaks, and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'll let you go, and hope you have a good rest of your evening and night, and we'll chat later again.
All right, man. You too. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right, cheers. Thanks.
All right, late.